So it was all time to sort of move on from Thingle Park. It came to sort of an end. It was a very weird way how it came to an end, really. It's Christine had her dramatic sort of exit, really. I went to see her on one time, I think at McDonald's with Bob. She wanted to reach out to me, and we had a chat. I had a chat to her. I sort of mellowed a bit, and that it was, I had these mixed feelings with her. It's a sort of love-hate relationship, really. Some things I really love about her, and other things I hate about her. So I don't, so I'm bound to sort of feel mixed about that, really. And our relationship sort of varied and continued for some years after that. And I do still very much want to make amends, really, in many ways with her. But we did sort of meet up sometimes after that. In fact, she remained in contact with me, and I remained on fairly good terms with her for a few years. She kindly gave me use of a caravan that she had back then, and I went for a few caravan holidays with friends of mine. So that was nice of her, and I went down to visit her in Oakhampton, but there was a situation there that I was deeply unhappy about, actually, and so it kind of spelt the end of that kind of relationship, actually, for a reason. I'll come on to that in a minute, really. But during that time, everyone was kind of moving on, really. Daniel and Anna were a lot older anyway. They were sort of living more independently, working, studying, and having their own social groups that they were participating in more of. Christine and Bob were sort of getting married, I think, and I didn't go to their wedding, I don't think, but I did go to Richard and Rachel's wedding, and I was very happy to be there, actually. Oh, I think I did go to Christine's wedding as well, actually, thinking about it. I went to both of their weddings. I was glad to go to both of their weddings, and I certainly wish them both happy in their relationships, and I wish that they both, are prosperous and find that happiness, that they perhaps didn't always before, and that was a happy ending. And as much as they were both able to sort of move on, find new partners, and that's nice, really. And sort of moving on, once Christine had moved on and out the house, I then felt it was the right time to contact my biological parent, I suppose. It seemed right to contact Mum at that moment. And I called up her old friend, I tracked down a number. She was just really shocked to hear from me. Thought she'd never see me again, actually. We went round there, and she gave me an almighty hug, and it's hard to explain, really. She was just, her feelings, there was a relief to see me, but the look on her face too. I'm not a little kid anymore. I'm a young adult now. And she was so glad to see me, and so welcoming and very hospitable. She introduced me to Glenn at that point. 2 years my senior. He's a bit older than me. I would have been 15 then, and he's about 17. I met my father for the first time. We all had dinner together. Glenn and I went out on a cycle trip. And everyone made an effort to get along quite well, actually, at the time, as you would. Glenn and I were upstairs playing on computer games, watched a bit of TV with Mum downstairs. We watched the Eurovision. Israel won that year. I think it was a transsexual Dana International. And Mum and I had a joke at Dad's expense, because we tricked him into saying that he was attracted to her, and even though she was a man, he didn't know that. And they were quite friendly and amicable, and he asked about college and what I was up to in my life and that, and so we had a little bit of chat, and that was nice, actually. I appreciated getting to meet them at that point. I didn't get to meet them that closely. I visited a few times, I think. And I wouldn't know it then, but I would only see my father 5 times. Actually, there would only be 5 visits. But I didn't know that. My biological father. So I met Barry on 5 occasions. And he was at the house chatting a few of those times. He seemed very quiet, quite shy, very softly spoken. But when he did speak, it was very considered. You know, he seemed very nice. The last time I saw him, as he was leaving, he gave me all the money in his wallet, £50 or something. He wished me really well at college. He hoped I got on well. I was studying at my A-levels at the time, I think. And that was the last time I saw him, actually. But anyway, I've gone a bit forwards there. And I'll come on to that in a bit, actually. When I first went to visit the biological family, I was still at home with Richard at the time. Daniel would come back to visit sometimes, and Anna occasionally too. But I was out a lot of the time. I went to study. I think I went to do a leisure and tourism course. Didn't like it really. I sort of just wanted to do leisure, really. I sort of that teenage age. And I had this awful thing I used to do. Actually, as much as I hated Christine's rants, once she was gone, it was sort of like I could get away with anything then. So sort of like I kind of did like it too much, you know. And it's like it's a bit bad really. But as soon as Richard used to go out, like I sometimes used to pretend I was going out to college, and then come home and watch TV. And Sunset Beach was this really trashy soap opera. So, you know, it was a bit, you know, I sometimes made it look like I was going out and doing things, but I wasn't. And that was a bit, couldn't have got away with that with Christine, you know. She was really, she knew everything that was going on. She was really like, really with it and sort of, like, doing things. But yeah, I suppose I didn't know what to do really at that age. I didn't really have a strong focus of where I wanted the studies to take me, and so I kind of did a computer clay course, like I was pretending to go actually, and then I sort of I didn't have any focus or anyone to sort of say, you know, what you want to do with your life and that. No, I always wanted to be a writer, actually. I used to ask people for paper. They always used to buy me paper and pens and crayons, actually. It was really easy to buy for. So, I guess I always wanted to do that. But I suppose at that time, I didn't really focus on what I wanted to do. At that point, I wanted to earn money and get my own place. So I got a job anyway. A job in the local supermarket, and I worked at Eastgate, Tesco's, and my first paid job after the paper round. So I was earning money there, fruit and vegetable section, stock rotation. Nice having a bit of experience, you know, meeting customers, getting out in the world. That was good. And I was going out to this sort of Freedom Youth. I met this guy, Michael. There was a few other people I met at this group. So it was a nice way of sort of meeting people. And you know what I liked about them? They tend to be quite sort of effeminate, and they tend to be like kind of non-judgmental. It's quite a liberal sort of group. So it's sort of like, and most of them have been through kind of a lot of homophobia. And so a lot of them have been through sort of a lot of hard stuff as well. I wondered if it was like a therapy group I was looking for. I don't know really. In any case, I got on well with Michael, and we sort of decided to move out. It seemed to make sense. We got along all right, actually. And I was sort of earning money now and working, so it seemed like a good idea. I was visiting my biological mother just occasionally. I think it felt right just to visit occasionally. I didn't want to see her that often. I didn't have a close emotional bond then. I wanted to get on in life, work, study, party. I didn't want to study, actually. I just wanted to sort of earn and spend, really. But so I got a job then at a cinema. I loved watching films. So I worked at Union Street. That was my kind of, it was a really nice family. Everyone there was really nice. People made an effort to include you. You know, a lot of the staff had been there a long time. A lot of them were quite older, so they looked on the younger ones as sort of like, kind of like the children, or to look after them. And It was nice though. It was really nice. Mr. Utley was our manager, and a lot of magnums went missing until he was replaced. I noticed that it's like in the stock count, it just you could never find where those magnums went. But in any case, yeah, it was a shame when he left, because everything, when the new manager came in, those stock counts, everything had to be counted. So, but yeah, you know, it's nice. I liked it. I like kind of going into films. I didn't like picking up popcorn so much and litter picking, but you know, I like issuing tickets, chatting with people about things. You know, it was a nice kind of thing at that age for me. I collected film posters. I went back to me and Mike's flat and put posters up all on the walls, you know, decorating. And it's weird, I'm showing people into films I'm not allowed to watch because some of them were 18s. I kind of didn't watch many films. I saw the opening and closing credits, as you do, being an usher. Me and Mike kind of got on quite well, actually. You know, I think, but we tended to argue. There was a lot of testosterone. We were both were argumentative. We were both vociferous. When we got on very well. You know, he was very down to earth, fun. And with others, we tended to sort of get on quite laddish, quite, you know, having a laugh. And I think when we were sharing the flat, the frustrations were there a bit. You know, we both kind of struggled sharing this one room bedsit, and it was a small space, and yeah, it was just a bit difficult, really. And I think when we fell out and argued, like having to live with each other after the arguments, you know, it was just a bit much, really. And 6 months of that, I think we were both fed up with each other, really. It was just like rushing into it without knowing each other. And actually, we got on pretty well when we did. It was just a bit too much, really, like living with someone. And we were both a bit young and sort of like boyish and a bit argumentative, really. So I think there's one occasion where we had a big argument at a nightclub, drunk. And it was like a race to get back to the house. He got a taxi, and I was like to my taxi driver, I was like, drive faster, overtake them. And when he got back to the house, sort of locked the doors on me as punishment for my vulgar behaviour. And it's like, what? And I had to go and knock on the neighbour's door and sleep on our neighbour's couch. And our next door neighbour, who was gay, he was very nice, but I don't know, he had keys to our house, and I found that a bit odd, really. But anyway, he was nice. I suppose he was the maintenance guy. I think that was what it was, I hope. But anyway, when he saw that we were arguing so much, he said that, you know, maybe you should live separately. I've got, my landlord's got lots of other apartments. He introduced us. And so when I met another guy that wanted to move out, it seemed like a good idea. And a really nice guy called Alan. And he was a lot older, much older, in his 30s. Really nice, very friendly. It was like a big brother figure. Very down to earth. But we could still have a good laugh. And so I thought, ideal, you know. And me and Mike's arguments were escalating, actually. We were getting to the point of chucking stuff, and he ripped all my posters off the wall. You know, and I don't know. It's kind of stupid, silly stuff, really. Tantrums, and we both had. And so we got on well when we weren't living together anyway. And so I moved out to Bedminster, the next area. Alan and I flat shared there. I continued working at the cinema and that. And, you know, my foster father had been really helpful in me moving out in terms of moving furniture and help with that. That was really nice, actually. And from there, I had 2 years living in Bedminster. Had 6 months with Mike. We put up with each other for 6 months. You know, when we weren't arguing, we were making up, I guess. And we remained friends thereafter, though, I'm glad to say, and got along well, you know, after that, so that's nice. But living with Alan, it was a really happy time for me. One of the happiest times, actually. It's like the big brother I didn't have and I always wanted, really. you know, like when I turned, I think, was it 18 I turned in his house? You know, like, he went out and he got a load of cash out. He gave me like £300. Like, who does that? Like, on your birthday? That's just like, it made me feel really special, you know, like, it's just like something a brother would do. And yeah, I mean, we had loads of fun house parties. He had a really diverse group of people that he was friends with. You know, there was an older guy that was learning acupuncture who played the flute. He used to come around and have a chat and attend our parties that we'd have, and his friend Jay, and there were various people with different ages that were there, so that was nice. And I like the fact that he was a bit older and more mature. You know, he was working regularly, paying his bills, you know, really with it. So that was good, and I appreciated that sort of discipline. But the fact that he was sort of organised, and I think we had some great fun there. My goodness, you know, a real laugh. We had a lot of kind of parties, some real shenanigans that happened there, to be honest. But people getting drunk, you know, wild truth or dare games, like spin the bottle, kind of stuff. Like, sometimes he was a lot older. I sometimes think he was a bit like a teen himself, but he was quite fun, you know, and up for a laugh, you know. Like, you know, we went on a caravan trip together, and he is so funny, a bit weird, and like, he walked off the caravan site without his socks and shoes on, and like got lost and had to call the police, who had to drop him back at the caravan because he didn't have any socks or shoes on. And he was really funny like that, actually. And someone that could a game for a laugh, you know, he didn't mind sort of making a bit of a laugh himself and doing some silly stuff, really. Like when someone didn't turn up to the murder mystery night, he had to play both character roles and put on different costumes, and all got a bit weird. And but yeah, we had various friends back to the house, so that was nice. There was a drag queen called Polly. She used to turn up, and Simon, I think, was his actual real name, but he wasn't in drag, and he was quite interesting. I didn't recognise him when I saw him in drag. I was really sort of baffled when I saw he had these two personas. I thought, that's... And so we became close, you know, until a caravan incident. And me and Alan had, you know, a close relationship there. For 2 years, we got on very well. And I continued working at the cinema. That went very well. Changed cinemas, worked at a different complex. And that was nice to meet different people there, actually. I changed to a different place that was nearer. And it was nice to be up there. I then went to, I sort of went to a different kind of place to work, though. And actually, I was looking for work for a while. I was out of work for a bit. And where I went to work, it was a bit of a weird incident, really. Well, I first of all, got a job in a garage opposite, and there was a gang of youths would turn up, misusing the water spray, firing all the customers as they went in. And so we had to get locked in an office and have the police called. And that was a little bit weird. Anyway, I did a few shifts at this garage opposite, and that went okay. And I got a job at this stationery store. I left that but I got accused of stealing there, so that was all a bit weird. Anyway, I put in a break in the staff room, I put a copy of a newspaper, The Sun, in my locker, and denied doing it later on. And you know, I just wanted something to read later, and they said, you know, that is theft. And in any case, I just sort of like left there. But then I started looking into telephone work, and I began temping. So I began what was 5 years then of telephony work, working on the telephones. So that was good. I was able to sort of do a variety of different positions with that. And it was a nice kind of time in my life because I met lots of people at the house there, people from different age ranges. There was a familiar group that I'd met through the Freedom Youth Project. I'm still in contact with a few of them now, actually. So that's really nice. And there was the pen pal. We met up again just by chance. We encountered each other before the millennium. And she met a few of my other friends then. I met a few of hers. So we struck up another friendship, you know, so that was nice. We became friends again. It was just really a nice time in my life, actually. Kind of fun. And kind of getting to know people and having lots of parties, I guess. None of them really got that out of hand, I suppose, really. I started dating, there was a guy I was very close with, and we were sort of in a relationship for 6 months. I found that, you know, he was very nice, we were very kind of close. Matthew, I think his name was. And I went to Oxbridge to visit him. He was very studied, he was very sort of very intellectual, very down to earth, but he loved rock and roll. He was sort of like a bit grungy and very sort of like nice to chat to. He was kind of, yeah, kind of cool, and I liked him a lot, and you know, we sort of got on well until there was this caravan incident, and you know, I said something kind of really horrible, and I think I said, "I don't love you, I never have," and kind of mean, isn't it, really? I don't know why I do that, and sometimes just sort of end relationships like that, and anyway, I regretted saying that, and it was kind of mean, really hurt him and at the time, and yeah, this is when that drag queen kind of really took offence to that. We had a sort of almost brawl in the caravan, but anyway, I guess like she or he, I guess they were sort of really offended that I'd done that, and I can see why, but I regretted saying that because I did care about him, actually, and you know, we were quite close for those 6 or 8 months, I don't know. Anyway, you know, so I suppose you get close to someone, don't you? You get to sort of know them, and it was but after 2 years, me and Alan, I suppose, we were sort of like, we'd started arguing ourselves, actually, and I don't know, we sort of annoyed each other sometimes. Our habits sort of annoyed each other on some things, but I'm sorry about that, really, but I don't know why I moved on from there, really. It's a shame, really, but I suppose I felt it was just the time to, and I think we just were getting argumentative, and we hadn't been for like a couple of years, really. I think he was seeing a guy that used to visit the house, and I think that complicated things because I was then sort of friends with this guy, but then friends with him, and so there was then this sort of threeness and taking sides then when he moved in, and I think that maybe changed the dynamic a bit, but I don't know if it was just that. But so then it got to a point where I kind of felt, oh, I do know what, we're arguing too much, and I think it's just getting silly. The arguments are getting out of hand, really, and I just felt like we need to move on, or these arguments will get worse. And I contacted my foster mother, and I thought, you know, maybe I could stay with her for a while. That might be a good place to go. Well, when I rung her, Glyn said, "Oh, well, she's at a psychiatric ward at the moment, having treatment and that." So, and I thought, well, I'd only seen her a couple of times. So I thought, well, that's odd. During those 2 years in Bedminster with Alan, I kind of very rarely visited them. You know, a small handful of times, I suppose, just to visit occasionally, really. I didn't feel any bonds close to them to visit, I suppose. So I was a bit concerned when he said that. But I did ask and say, like, you know, I'm a bit desperate. You know, I'm having arguments with this guy. Is there any chance, you know, I might be able to stay there just for a short time, you know? he said, well, I'll visit Mum and ask her and that, you know, when he visits her next in the hospital. And so he did, as much, you know, as much as I know. He said, okay, you can move in, but you'll have to stay in the garage. They were his conditions and that. So I thought, okay. The arguments were escalating with Alan. You know, I think maybe it was me sort of being wound up or winding him up. I don't know. Yeah. In any case, I sort of thought, yeah, I think it's best to sort of move on for now. Alan drove me over there, dropped me off. You know, we dropped off the stuff in the garage. It was a bit cold and dusty to stay in there, but I did have my sofa bed that we carted from the Bedminster home. So I thought, well, that'll be okay at least, you know. I can sort of stay on that. It'll only be for a short time. You know, once I get enough money together, I move out, get my own place. You know, those were my intentions, I suppose, then. That's very much what I thought I was going to do. And so I stayed living in the garage, actually, at that time, in Rodney Road. That was my mother's home then. That's a bit odd. But you know, I visited Glyn next door, I suppose, at the house. I thought it was a bit weird how he would not have me in the house. But he said, I didn't know you, and I didn't know how to trust you because of that. So, you know, so I felt I wanted to help you, but, you know, I don't know to trust you to invite you in a house. So his compromise was to have me in the garage, I suppose, you know, separate to the house. So I stayed in the garage for, and I think it was a few weeks, maybe a month or so, or maybe a month or two, I'm not sure now. I went in to visit Glyn a couple of times, a few evenings. We watched a few films together. We had a little chat. I told him that I was gay at the time. I had relationships with guys. I told him a bit about myself. He seemed very friendly, quite funny, you know. I think he made a joke about it. We had a laugh. He seemed quite nice. You know, it's quite hard to tell. We didn't talk too long, but he seemed okay. And, you know, I did think it was a bit odd, but I could sort of understand. You know, he didn't know me that well. So I had a little bucket of water that I used as a fridge to keep things in. And you know, it was a bit dusty, but I had lots of blankets to help me through. It was sort of winter time. A few friends visited me. There was I invited a few of them around one night, actually. So there was Fletcher that I met through Alan, and then there's a friend of his, Jerry, that I met as well. He visited me as well, and a few others. And Jerry was a bit upset to see me living in a garage, really, and sort of said, I don't like this. We both loved books, and so he used to bring around a few books for me to read at that point, and so that's how we got chatting. A love of books, I suppose, and reading, and so he would visit, and but at the time I didn't stay there that long. I think what happened actually was my biological mother, Lorna, she was then discharged from the hospital, so she came home. In fact, she turned up with a guy called Dave that she'd met from the hospital. I think he was perhaps a patient, a fellow patient that she met at the ward. She was angry. She was very upset when she turned up there, and she really was very accusing and said that we had taken over the house. She made a lot of accusations. She was very upset at the state of the house. She said it was all terribly untidy. The cat hadn't been fed properly. There was dirt everywhere. I was living like a madman in a garage. You know, she said, what on earth would the neighbours think? She said, how dare you do all this? Well, I had to sort of say, I don't know what had gone on in the house. I'd only been there a number of hours while I watched a film. It's the truth of it. You know, I didn't frequent the house to know what was going on with her cat or whether the washing up had been left. I don't know. So I think that I don't know what was going on in the house then, but I did say to her, it wasn't my choice to live in the garage, but to be honest with you, I don't have anywhere else to stay, and I'm really happy that I'm to stay there. So I stayed a little while, I think, but I then went and stayed at Jerry's in Fishponds. So Jerry suggested I live in a spare room in his house. You know, he said, why don't you stay with me for a while, you know, in the spare room? And it seemed a sensible suggestion since we got on so well, actually. And so I felt like that was a really good idea. And so, you know, I felt like, for whatever reason, she obviously was a bit hostile to me staying there. And, you know, I can understand that. I'd sort of forced the visit on her. But I don't know what had happened before she went into hospital. I think there was some sort of argument between her and Glyn. So I don't know what had happened. You know, they both gave sort of different stories to me about it. I wasn't really that sure what to make of it, really, as to why she went into the hospital. So I don't really know. I only stayed there a short time, but she was quite angry at me, actually. So she was angry that I was in the garage at all, really. You know, but, you know, I suppose I shouldn't have been at the house or anywhere near it, really. So I don't know whether she had allowed me to or not, actually, thinking about it. On one occasion, there was an argument there. I used to go over and visit her still from Jerry's, but I think there was an argument, and I gave her some keys. She'd given us keys to the house, but she demanded them back. So I think that she did have some anger then, but I don't know whether it was justified or not. I don't know quite the situation that had occurred before then, you know, because I didn't visit that often to know. So I don't know really why there was a little anger and upset going on there with her, and so I don't know. Anyway, I stayed on at Jerry's in Fishponds and got on really well there, actually. And I've got to stop the video now because the battery's about to run out, and I gotta make a drink and